Here we go.
Take 100. All right.
That's what it feels like. For those of you who have listened to this podcast before, you know our frequent issues with our video platform provider, which doesn't make any sense because when I talk with clients on here, it works well, but only has issues with this part.
Yeah, like I talk with clients on here. I use Zoom for other jobs. Fine, 100% of the time. But so to try to record this podcast, I think it's because you keep questioning the Zoom overlords. And yeah,
I mean, that could be it. It also could just be that maybe I need a new computer. I don't know. So, which would are they interlinked with the overlords? So they need a hardware for it to run. So that's kind of the issue with Skynet, right? They need some kind of robot for it to run on. Um,
I think that just means on this podcast you have to show a little ass and create an Amazon wish list, right? Like, and you get a new computer. That's how that works.
that's, I have to work on the ass thing.
More squats. So sign up for your free meet and greet with Franchise Nutrition and Fitness. You want a better ass? We can do some glute exercises. There you go. Boom, done.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. Um, if you are intending, though, to do intermittent fasting, I would extremely caution you on proceeding with intermittent fasting. I referenced a time that we've previously talked about that intermittent fasting for people that are doing that end up losing more muscle mass than fat mass. You still lose weight, right? I'm not denying that you can lose weight, but you will lose more muscle mass than fat mass. And if you're losing weight, muscle mass is the weight that you do not want to lose.
Yeah, and I think the statistic is that even if you're losing weight the quote correct way, like typically it's 75% from body fat and about 25% from muscle, which is not ideal even with that. But like, yeah, then you do these other things, people go on crazy crash diets or even doing intermittent fasting, and that those percentages come up. And we need muscle mass to do everything with our bodies.
Right. And no matter what age you are, it is vitally important to preserve as much muscle mass as you possibly can when losing weight. So, uh, in that, a recent study just came out that suggests that if you are intermittent fasting, eating it across a period of 8 hours in a day, versus people that are not eating around 12 to 16 hours a day, if you're intermittent fasting, it puts you at a 91% increased risk of death from cardiovascular diseases, which could be there's a whole host of cardiovascular disease just because you are intermittent fasting. So again, I would caution you intermittent fasting because it could, greatly increase your cause of death from a heart attack or hypertension,
So like
hyperlipidemia.
I haven't seen that study. So like what do they figure are the reasons for that? Like was there any
Well,
causation there? Or like
so it's kind of more a preliminary survey. So there's not really a causative. There's plenty of reasons I think from a nutrition standpoint, and this is just based off of what I know. So it's not medical advice or anything like that for people out there
but
listening
just
to this.
based off the opinions of a registered dietitian versus somebody just posting their bullshit opinion on TikTok. Gotcha.
Right. If you are losing more muscle mass than fat mass, when we look at those things, there's no way to know where you're losing the muscle mass from. Right?
That's where I was hoping that response was coming from.
Yeah. And so there are your body's made up of muscle in lots of different places. What most people most frequently think about when they think about muscle, they think about skeletal muscle mass. And we talk about skeletal muscle mass on this podcast all the time. Um, but most often overlooked muscle mass is your organ tissue muscle mass. And your heart is also a muscle. It's all those little pieces that contract and um, decontract. That's not a good word, but just relax, contract and relax.
There you go.
Um,
That's
I
better.
was thinking systolic and diastolic, so it's
I,
difficult for me to jump
I,
from those
I,
numbers.
I want somebody to listen to this and then just call you out about decontract. Like that's just like
So,
that'd be the most social media engagement we ever get. Just like based off Ryan saying decontract.
right, yeah,
That's
yeah, systolic, diastolic, yeah, it's like, but either way, that cardiovascular references aside, uh, if you are losing muscle mass and if whatever rate that it loses from, if you are trying to lose weight from intermittent fasting, you've probably already put some amount of strain on your cardiovascular system from whatever caused you to gain the weight that you're trying to lose, right? So you already have to be really mindful about how quickly or how slowly you're losing your weight and where the weight loss is coming from because you don't want to overstress your heart. So my conclusion from this preliminary data survey is that some people are probably losing muscle mass from their heart, and people are probably also trying to increase their physical activity at some amount, and they already have other factors against their heart. And so it is increasing their risk of death from a cardiovascular event, which is what the study says. It increases it by 91%.
yeah. It's kind of just trifold. Yeah, you're like okay, it's more taxing on your cardiac muscle. You're doing stuff that's going to cause your cardiac muscle to atrophy. On top of the fact that you've through lifestyle decisions and yeah, like your cardiac muscles having to be worked a little bit overload. So yeah, it's just like boom, threefold of like yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. And if all of that's happening, there are better ways to go about losing weight to help your heart. And I hear this all the time from clients and patients at the hospital that a doctor told them they need to lose weight to help their insert condition. And so one of the current popular things out there is intermittent fasting for weight loss. And again, if you're listening to this podcast, you already know how we feel about it. But I was literally talking to a doctor today that has been intermittent fasting for weight loss, and they were shocked to hear that I mentioned. I was like, I saw a study. This is a new thing came out. Like I've talked to you about this before, and they have a familial history of heart disease and cancer, and so that's why they're trying to like work on their weight loss. And that's a real thing. Like this isn't actually helping you fight off the possibility. It's only increasing your risk that you're going to end up with one of those chronic conditions.
And I know I've talked about it over and over again on the podcast and to every client I work with. Like I'm all about habits that are sustainable for a lifetime. And like even if I wanted to do intermittent fasting for short term, which I don't, but if I did, like that's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. Just like I wouldn't want to do a ketogenic diet or crazy, all these other crazy like fads that we've talked about. So it's like I would rather do something that, hey, you can start this today, and then 30 years from now you can continue to do it. It's something you can fit into your life, no matter how busy you are, no matter what profession you are, no matter the amount of time you have to spend with kids or work responsibilities or whatever, like you're able to continue to do this. And I don't think for most people that intermittent fasting is something that fits into that. Because like, what if you want to go out late one night on a Saturday night and oh, we're having a late dinner at 11 o'clock? Sorry, that's not in my feeding window. I can't do this. And now you're miserable. And now you're not going to stick to this plan. And that's why we don't write plans like that with franchise nutrition and fitness.
Right. But let's say that you knew you were going out at 11 o'clock, but you had to wake up at 6 or 7. And so you decided, I'm not going to eat until 3 or 4 this afternoon. And
Kill
then
me.
I'm going to waits that way that 11 o'clock dinner is inside of my 8 hour span, and all my drinks are inside of the 8 hour span. How miserable are you for the first 8 to 10 hours of the day? And for the people that I've talked to that are like, I'm perfectly fine, but I see you in high stress situations and you are not actually fine. You're just telling yourself that you're fine.
Yeah,
And
I've never talked to anybody that does intermittent fasting that seems happy about it. Like,
yeah,
it's never like this pleasant experience. Like, I'm fucking doing intermittent fasting. It's like, all right, cool. Because I'm like, hey, I've reduced my caloric intake by 500 calories. I've started doing 10 more minutes of cardio every day. Boom. Like, I can say that with a smile on my face. Like, it's not the greatest thing in my life, but I'm like, freaking kill me. Versus anybody that's IF, I'm like, man, I'm doing IF and I can't. Like, so it's
yeah. And even then, so if you're doing IF and you haven't actually decreased your caloric intake, you're still consuming the same amount of calories, then you're not actually helping yourself. You're just
you're literally
compacting
doing
it
the same
into your
thing.
day.
You're making yourself miserable to maintain. Like, awesome, good for you.
Right. So,
So what's have you ever like purposely tried to fast like for any reason, like whether it be religious or like any like what's the longest you've ever fasted?
oh yeah, I've fasted. I did. Everybody knows I'm Catholic, right? So it's currently Lent, and the the diet prescription for Lent is on Fridays. We fast in that we have two small meals and one regular meal. And so my small meals are usually breakfast and lunch, and then I have a regular meal for dinner. Um, but for Matt, your reference though, you're talking about fasting
Like actual fat, like
continuously.
yeah, no caloric intake for X amount of time.
I did intermittent fasting as an experiment on myself in 2015. So this is almost 10 years ago now. So this was a fad then, and like all things, it comes back around. So now it's a
No,
fad
it's
again.
all cycles around, Jim.
Um, and the longest I went during that time was 20 hours without eating
Ooh,
on purpose. And I did two different things. So one, I attempted to consume all of my calories for a day inside of a 4 hour span, and that was a challenge because it was close to almost 3,000 calories. And
yeah, you're just gonna sit there and just
can't
eat for free. Like, I
all
can't do
in
anything
four
else. I'm just
hours
gonna eat. Yeah.
for 4 hours. That was physically uncomfortable, and so I did end up losing weight because I couldn't do that. Um, and I did not maintain the strength that I had during the intermittent fasting time. I definitely went down. I didn't know that it caused greater decreases in muscle mass and fat mass. Um, and I know that I was irritable and I was overly stressed because I was also doing my internship to be a dietitian at the time, which is how I came
So
across this.
you had all this extra stress on you. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna stress my body even more. That's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna push it to the max. Push it to the limit. Um, just call me Pablo. But so that's the longest that I've gone was the 20 hours, and then I also did do the 8 hour thing, kind of what I alluded to earlier, where I knew that I was going to eat in the evening, so I made sure that that was my end of my 8 hour time, and so I didn't eat like during the beginning of the day. Terrible idea to try and like
Yeah, because like that's the what I see most times, and that just would not work. Let's say like intermittent fasting is the greatest thing ever. Let's just scrub everything we just said. Like that wouldn't work for me because like I work out in the mornings, like, and we've talked about empty stomach cardio and fasted cardio and all that stuff. But like, I can't imagine going to like spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym like I do, and not having any caloric anything in me. That sounds awful.
yeah, and then especially at the end of the day, like let's say you do what you're talking about and you eat in the beginning of the day and you go to the end of your day, you'd be done with your 8 hours at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, and then your sleep's going to be so horrible, and you're not going to have any recovery because you're just sitting there like waking up every 30 minutes thinking about I really wish I could eat right now.
Right. And what you're talking about earlier, like if you did that and you didn't wait for the end of the window for your eating time, like you're going out with friends and doing different kind of stuff with them. Like, let's say it was you, like you're trying to go to a baseball game and sit through a whole baseball game without eating anything or drinking anything that has calories in it. So you're just having water.
So they're
Like,
drinking water, enjoying a 7:35 first pitch.
right, like, man, what a fun day at the park. So, um, because
Why are you just sitting there weeping? Our team's winning. Like, I don't know.
the Braves have hit 3 grand slams in a row. I'm just really hungry.
I just want some fucking food.
Oh, that would be so terrible. Uh, but like, like, hey, if it was positive and you were losing so much fat, yay! But I wouldn't give it.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do that.
And like, yeah, again, like I think it always goes back to what I always tell people. It's like, like balance it out. Like, is it worth it? Like, let's say you could just magically lose a bunch of fat through intermittent fasting. Like, I don't care. Like, like if I could not eat for 16 hours a day, like it was magically gonna make me like ripped, like I'm beyond all imagination. Still not worth it to me. Like for some people it
Yeah,
would be, but like it doesn't work that way, so it's a moot point. But it's ultimately what fits into your lifestyle and what's going to make you happy and fulfilled. And I think for most people, intermittent fasting is not the case.
yeah, and that's specifically what we don't do at Franchise Nutrition and Fitness. We don't force you into a program that you're going to be miserable in. Yes, our program takes a long time. Yes, it's a little hard to do, but the benefits of following a proven program that's going to help you achieve your goals that you want is way more worth it in the value of that. Maintain your muscle, build muscle, lose fat, be happy while you do it. Like,
And not have to come back to the program. I think that's such a key thing that I've worked with so many people that are like, well, I was successful doing this. Why are you talking to me? You were successful. Why do you need a new program?
yeah,
Like we ultimately want to set you up to fly free, little birdie. Like you've
yeah,
reached your fitness goals, you've reached your nutrition goals, you've reached your health goals, and like you're able to maintain doing what you do. If you're successful, like so many people with intermittent fasting are successful, they've lost weight, and then they're right back to square one to get back to normal eating behaviors.
yeah. And so if you're tired of wasting your money on things that you were previously successful and you have to continue to come back to, you want to spend some money to help you keep your goal, whatever it is. You want to be more muscular, you want to be more slim, those things, and do that forever. Head on over to franchisenf.com and sign up for your free meet and greet today, and we can get you
Yeah,
started.
follow our very stupid business model because we're trying to get rid of you. We're trying to have you succeed so you don't come back.
Yeah,
It's not a good business plan, but it's great for you. That's
right. Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of like we know what we're doing and we're professionals with this instead of just trying to funnel you in and keep you in this cycle. Like, yeah, weird, right?
Yeah. Either way, like we say every week, maximize every bite.
Maximize every rep.